You wake when a hand shakes your shoulder, not gently. There is never gentleness here. It is still dark. It will be dark for another hour at least. But slaves do not wake with the sun. Slaves wake when their masters need them, and their masters always need them before dawn. You sleep on the floor in a small room with 11 other slaves. There are no beds, just thin mats that do nothing against the cold stone. Your back aches. It always aches. You are 23 years old, but your body feels 40. You stand and dress in the tunic you wore yesterday, the same tunic you wear every day. It is rough wool, undyed, marked with stains that will never come out. You own nothing else. Slaves do not own clothes. Slaves do not own anything, not even themselves. This is Rome, and if you are here, truly here, as a slave, there is one thing you must understand immediately. You are not a person. You are property, an object, a tool that breathes. Before we talk about work or punishment or the tiny chance of freedom, you need to understand what slavery actually means in Rome. It means you have no rights, none. You cannot own property. You cannot make contracts. You cannot testify in court unless you are tortured first, because Romans believe slaves only tell the truth under torture. You cannot marry legally. Any children you have are not yours. They belong to your master, just like you do. You did not choose this. Almost no one chooses slavery. You became a slave one of several ways. Perhaps you were born to a slave mother, and Rome's law is clear. The child of a slave is a slave, automatically, permanently. Perhaps you were captured in war. One of thousands marched back to Rome in chains after your city fell. Perhaps you were sold into slavery by parents who could not feed you, or by creditors when your father's debts grew too large. Or perhaps you sold yourself. Desperate people do desperate things. When starvation is the alternative, slavery starts to look survivable. You signed a contract you could not read, and now you belong to someone else. Your master is a wealthy merchant, not the wealthiest in Rome, but comfortable. He owns this large house in the city, a villa outside Rome, farms in the countryside, and 43 slaves. You are one of 43 humans who exist to serve his needs. You do not know all the other slaves well. You see them at night when everyone collapses exhausted in the slave quarters. You see them briefly during the day when tasks overlap. But you do not have time for friendship. You barely have time to think. Your work begins the moment you wake. You are a house slave, which is considered better than being a field slave or a mine slave. You should be grateful, people tell you. You work indoors. You're not breaking your back in fields or dying slowly underground. This is supposed to be the fortunate kind of slavery. You start in the kitchen, helping prepare the master's breakfast. The cook, also a slave, directs you sharply. Fetch water from the cistern, grind grain for bread, tend the fire, move faster, always faster. The master eats at a specific time. If breakfast is late, someone will be punished, usually whoever is closest when the master's anger needs a target. The kitchen is hot and smoky. Your eyes water constantly. Your hands are scarred from burns accumulated over years. You move carefully around the fire, around the cook's sharp knife, around the other slaves, all trying to complete their tasks in the same cramped space. The master eats. You do not. Slaves eat later, if there is anything left. Usually there is, but not always. And what slaves eat is not what masters eat. You get the scraps, coarse bread, watered wine, porridge made from the cheapest grain, occasionally vegetables, almost never meat. After breakfast, you clean. The dining room must be spotless, every surface wiped, every dish removed. Romans are particular about cleanliness in their homes, which means slaves scrub constantly. Your knees hurt from kneeling on stone floors. Your hands are raw from water and harsh soap. Then you are sent to prepare the master's clothes. He is meeting clients this morning. Everything must be perfect. You lay out his toga, making sure every fold is correct. You polish his shoes. You prepare the oil and strigil for his bath later. Every detail matters. Mistakes are noticed. The master's wife calls for you. She needs her hair done. You are not trained for this, but that does not matter. Slaves do whatever they are told. You style her hair as best you can, copying what you have seen other slaves do. She criticizes every pin, every curl. Nothing is right. She slaps you twice, almost casually, the way you would swat a fly. You say nothing. Slaves do not defend themselves. Slaves do not talk back. You lower your eyes and adjust her hair until she finally dismisses you with a wave of irritation. Mid-morning, you are sent to the market with another slave. You carry the money pouch, though you are not allowed to keep any of it. You are given a list of items to purchase. Fish for tonight's dinner, olive oil, wine, specific vegetables. The list is detailed and demanding. At the market, merchants treat you with open contempt. You are a slave. They can see it in your cheap tunic, in the way you avoid eye contact, in the efficiency with which you complete transactions without conversation. Some merchants try to cheat you with bad produce or incorrect change. You cannot argue effectively. You can only try to choose carefully and hope your master does not blame you for what you cannot control. Walking back, you pass free Romans going about their day. They do not see you. Not really. Slaves are part of the landscape, invisible until needed. You step aside when free citizens pass. You keep your head down. You make yourself small. Back at the house, you help prepare lunch. The same routine: cooking, serving, cleaning. Your feet ache. You have been standing since before dawn. You will stand until night. Slaves do not rest during the day. Afternoon brings in new tasks. The master's study needs organizing. He is careless with his scrolls, his wax tablets, his correspondence. You organize everything carefully, knowing he will not thank you, but will certainly punish you if anything is misplaced. While you work, the master conducts business. You are present, but ignored. You hear conversations about money, about property, about politics. You hear him discuss buying more slaves. He talks about slaves the way he talks about furniture, evaluating quality, discussing prices, calculating value. You realize he is talking about replacing one of the field slaves who is getting too old to work effectively. The slave will be sold to someone who needs cheaper labor, or perhaps just discarded. Slaves who cannot work are worthless. There is no retirement, no pension, no gratitude for years of service, just disposal when you are used up. Evening comes, but work does not stop. Dinner must be prepared. The master is entertaining guests tonight. This means more food, more cleaning, more opportunities for mistakes that lead to punishment. You serve the meal. You stand against the wall, waiting to refill wine cups, to bring more food, to respond immediately to any request. The guests ignore you completely. They discuss philosophy, art, politics. They speak Greek to show their education. They laugh loudly. They drink heavily. One guest snaps his fingers at you. You approach immediately. He needs more wine. As you pour, he grabs your arm and makes a comment to the other guests about your appearance. They laugh. He squeezes harder, then releases you. You return to the wall. This is normal. Slaves have no protection from this kind of attention. Your body is not yours to control. If a master or guest decides they want more from you than labor, you cannot refuse. Male slaves, female slaves, it does not matter. Slaves exist for their owner's use. The dinner finally ends. The guests leave. You clean for another hour, scrubbing dishes, wiping tables, sweeping floors. By the time you finish, it is late. You have been working for 16 hours. You return to the slave quarters. Some slaves are already asleep, collapsed in exhaustion. Others sit quietly, too tired to speak. You lie down on your thin mat. Your whole body hurts. Tomorrow will be exactly the same. But house slavery is considered the good kind. You are not in the fields where slaves work from dawn until dark, plowing, planting, harvesting, where overseers carry whips and use them frequently, where injury means being worked until you die, because healing takes time the master will not give. You are not in the mines where slaves descend into darkness and many never come out, where cave-ins kill regularly, where the air is poison and everyone's lungs fail eventually, where life expectancy is measured in months, not years. You are not a galley slave, chained to an oar, rowing until your hands bleed, and then rowing more, where you sleep chained in place, where storms mean drowning while still shackled to the bench. You are not in the arena, fighting for entertainment, trained to kill other slaves while crowds cheer. Survival dependent on violence and luck. Death certain eventually, just a question of when. You are a house slave. You should be grateful. This is what you are told. But gratitude requires choice, and you have none. Punishment is constant and casual. A master does not need a reason to punish a slave. Slaves can be beaten for mistakes, for perceived laziness, for simply being nearby when the master is angry. The law allows it. The culture expects it. You have been beaten many times, with hands, with rods, with whips. The scars on your back tell the story of years serving this household. Each scar is a reminder that you are property, that your master can do whatever he wants, and no one will stop him. Some slaves are punished more severely. Crucifixion for running away, branding for theft, mutilation for repeated disobedience. These punishments are public, meant to terrify other slaves into compliance. They work. You have thought about running. Every slave has thought about running. But where would you go? You have no money, no papers, no freedom to travel. Slave catchers hunt runaways professionally. The punishment for being caught is horrific enough that most slaves never try. Some slaves are freed. Manumission exists. Masters can grant freedom as a reward for years of service, or in their wills after they die. This possibility keeps some slaves obedient. The hope that maybe, someday, they will be free. But freedom for slaves is complicated. Even freed slaves are not fully free. You become a freedman, which means you still owe obligations to your former master. You cannot vote. You cannot hold public office. You are marked forever as having been a slave. Your children will be born free, truly free, but you never will be. And many slaves are never freed. They work until they are too old or too sick, and then they die. Still slaves, still property, still nothing. You lie on your mat and think about tomorrow, about the same work, the same routine, the same invisibility. You wonder if you will die here, in this house, having spent your entire life serving someone else's comfort. You wonder if anyone will remember you existed. Probably not. Slaves leave no records. No monuments, no names in history books. You are one of millions who lived and died in service to Rome's glory, and Rome will never acknowledge your existence. But you are still here, still breathing, still surviving. Not because life is kind, but because stopping means death. So you endure. You wake before dawn. You work until night. You accept what cannot be changed. This is what it really means to be a Roman slave. Not ancient history, not abstract economics. A person stripped of humanity, worked until broken and forgotten the moment they stopped being useful. So when you imagine ancient Rome, do not picture only marble columns and mighty emperors. Picture the slaves who built those columns, who cleaned those palaces, who made that civilization function while remaining invisible. Picture someone like you, waking in darkness, working until exhaustion, living an entire life as someone else's property, and somehow finding the strength to wake up and do it again tomorrow. That is a Roman slave. Not a character, not a concept. A person surviving what should not be survivable and doing it anyway because there is no other choice.